After a dozen acclaimed albums, virtuoso slide guitarist and band leader Sonny Landreth found himself at the artistic crossroads. He wanted to finally create the full-length acoustic collection his fans had long requested, but he was also itching to capture the sound of his stalwart electric trio augmented by a couple of his favourite collaborators. And the time was certainly right for an elastic, career-spanning double live album. Sonny Landreth and his longtime friends decided to do it all. Recorded live in Lafayette is a 16-song opus that covers more musical ground than any single album ever could. As the singer and songwriter's work stretches and twists across 93 minutes of full band acoustic and electric bottleneck lightning. The double CD and vinyl release on Provogue, which includes the most extensive acoustic set ever recorded by Landreth, opens with acoustic arrangements of the artist's tunes dating back to the 1981 title cut of his debut album, Blues Attack. The double album arrives on the heels of the Grammy nominees' back-to-back Blues Music Awards for Best Guitarist and Best Blues Album for Bound by the Blues. I am delighted to have Sonny on the other end of the line, all the way from, where are you today? And welcome, Sonny.
Hey, Irene. Thank you so much. I'm actually at home near Lafayette, Louisiana.
Oh, very good. Well, welcome to Drivin' Home with the Blues.
It's great to be there.
Now, before we talk about the latest album, take me back 40 years ago and when and how it all started, and did it start with the blues?
Well, actually, it started for me hearing music. I had my older brother, and so he was bringing music into the house. And my grandparents had a little drive-in restaurant bar, and they had a jukebox in there. And I remember those songs really well. I had memorized Fats Domino's version of Blueberry Hill before I could even write a complete sentence. But as far as guitar goes, it was Scotty Moore and Elvis Presley's earliest outing. Of course, like all the other kids, had fallen in love with Elvis, but when he made the first appearance on TV, it was actually when the camera panned over briefly to the guy, Scotty Moore. I said, "Oh, that's that sound. That's what I want to do." So that was probably when I first realized that I wanted to play guitar. And then as time went on, that was in Mississippi, and we moved to Louisiana when I was 7 years old. And my first instrument that I actually started with was trumpet when I was 10. But somehow I talked my parents into getting me a guitar for my birthday when I was 13, and I never looked back. That was always my first love, and I've been listening to a lot of different kinds of music. And in particular, living in this area where the culture is so important and music is such a big part of it, I was really, really blessed to have this as an inspiration and influence and growing up in this area in South Louisiana.
And 40 years later, you're a blues legend, Sonny. A living legend, thank goodness.
I'm glad to know if that's true. I hear rumblings. I've always loved it. I had, when I started really getting into blues, and in particular listening to the Delta blues and all the old recordings, I just was fascinated by all that, and it touched me in a way that was, it resonated, and especially when I heard slide guitar on those records for the first time, and I didn't even know what it was. And then I was reading about it and started scoping it out more, and it was, I realized later, it was the vocal quality about it that reeled me in. And since I started out on trumpet, I actually had a lot of jazz heroes, and later, I realized that both my jazz heroes and then my blues heroes would strive to emulate the human voice and develop a vocal quality in their sound and with their instruments, to learn to sing their instrument, as it were. And slide guitar is all about that, more so, I think, and has that quality about it, and it still speaks to me. It's something really special.
I'm a big fan of slide guitar myself, I must admit. Now, you've played with the cream of the crop, so to speak. Who and or what are highlights for you?
Well, it's just, it would take us all night to go through all of that, but I've been really fortunate. I've had great opportunities and experiences. It's really hard to extract any one in particular over the other, but I will say there was a moment with Clifton Chenier, with Zydeco King, and this was probably in 1979, and we're in a classic bar in New Orleans called Tipitina's, which is named after a lyric in a Professor Longhair classic song. And anyway, I was playing a solo. It was got my mojo work, and it just took off. And he reached over and grabbed me by the belt buckle and pulled me out in front of the stage. I was always in the background, head down, trying to play the right note. And he got a big response from the crowd. It was really a moment. And another in particular would be playing Eric Clapton's Crossroads Festival, and the first time he came out and sat in with us. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I've been such a big fan of his, and he had such influence on me when I was a teenager, and to have that opportunity all these years later was really something.
Fast forwarding to the present, and as I mentioned in the intro, you and longtime friends recorded this latest 16-song album in Lafayette. Tell us about those longtime friends. Who are they?
Well, first of all, in my band that I normally play with as a trio, is Dave Ransom on bass, and he and I go way back to little kids. We've been playing together forever. And he's just very, very special, has a unique sound and style like nobody else. And the youngster of the group that's been with us for about 6 years now is Brian Brignac, and he plays drums and percussion, and he's really great. We've had a lot of drummers, but we love working with Brian. He's just brought another whole dimension to it all. And then as two guests that sat in with us are old friends of mine, Steve Kahn on keys and Sam Broussard on guitar. And Sam and I, kids, I'd go to his house and he'd show me a riff on the guitar, and I'd show him a riff, and he'd turn me on to songs and albums, and I'd do the same. So in many respects, it was like coming back to the neighborhood to make this album. But those guys sitting in with us in particular, and Steve and we've been working together since the 70s. He's played on just about all of my albums, and I on his, and we've done a lot of gigs together. We do a annual Thanksgiving gig in his hometown. It's really cool. I think we hit the 20-year mark this past year. And so there's that chemistry with all of us.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. I could trust those guys emphatically. I knew that by including them, we would get some magic and heat of the moment, and that's what I was after.
Sonny, you've recorded part acoustic and part electric for this latest CD. Do you actually have a preference of playing one or the other?
I guess I'm more of an electric kind of guy, though I love acoustic guitars, and I love the resonator guitars in particular. And there was a time, many, many years ago, I didn't even play electric. I was just playing acoustic. I got so into it. And my first official album was all acoustic. So it's kind of a tough call, but to be fair, I'm more an electric guy. But I love them both, and they each fulfill the other in a way. Especially we set about to decide on which songs and to play all these that are on this project was quite a thing for me. It's kind of like seeing my life flash before me. I think of this 90-plus minutes of music. But that was fun, and that's how we approach the gigs leading up to the recording. We come out and do an all-acoustic set, take a short break, and come back out and amp it up. And I love the range of material and reinterpreting some of those songs that had previously been all electric, and we did them acoustic. And I should say that what you're hearing is a really unique blend of instruments. See, on the acoustic set, Steve Kahn played accordion. I played the resonator guitar. Sam Broussard has a vintage Martin Parlor acoustic. Brian, our drummer, in lieu of the kit, sat on this, it's called a cajon. It's a Latin percussion instrument. And he strikes one side of it, it's similar to a kick drum, and he strikes the other side with the other hand, and there's a snare inside the box. And so that gave it a completely different vibe, and it created a lot of space, a lot of air that I thought was real musical. And then our bass player, Dave, played a ukulele bass, which is unbelievable how big the sound you can make with that little bitty thing, and the strings, different kind of strings. So that really, I think, really worked out well, in especially in reinterpreting some of these songs.
And do you prefer to play to a small room or a big festival?
I love them all. I love all of it and everything in between. And we do that. We play these really big festivals, and I like you're kind of by the seat of the pants. You know what I mean? It's raw, it's exposed, it's wild, it's rocking. You don't get a sound check. You might get a line check where they just go through, make sure all the microphones are working and the input signals, saying something on the other end. Then you just blow and go. And there's something about that I really like. But then I like playing in smaller venues because then there's the energy from the crowd that's much more intimate. And especially for the acoustic material, I think that just plays better in that setting. Though we've done it both ways. And but I like all of the above, and we'll play amphitheaters, play performing arts centers, and actually this recording is in a very nice venue that was designed and built for performance arts in downtown Lafayette. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do it there.
So what's the best advice do you think you've ever been given, or perhaps give, or probably one and the same?
Well, that is a good question. Fortunately, I had good teachers when I was in school playing trumpet, believe it or not. And they taught me discipline. They taught me have a sense of dynamics and to listen to everyone else that's playing. And that's just not all about you. There's a relationship in all the other instruments. And to be open to all kinds of music that's done well, and that's what I tell people. And I also tell some of the young kids coming up that to be open to the possibility of how one thing can lead to another. You truly never know who's in the audience. And it may seem insignificant, but it could be someone who knows someone else who knows someone else. And you made an impression on one, and they refer you to a producer, for example. And then you get in on a session, and that leads to work with other producers, with other artists, and vice versa. So you just never underestimate how there is a synchronicity to things and how one project can bring on another. And it's all really about putting one foot in front of the other down the path,
Well, congratulations on the new CD, recorded live in Lafayette. Thank you so much. I haven't been there. I've traveled the U.S. extensively, but there's still a whole lot of places I haven't been. Are we likely to see you in Australia anytime soon? Oh,
yeah. I've been doing a lot of interviews, so I know that's the way somebody's telling me I'm coming back down there, and I really look forward to it. We played Byron Bay several years back. It's time for us to make a trip, and I'd like to play a lot of the other cities and other venues, and so it's coming. I think we'll probably be down next year.
That's great. Look, thank you so much for your time today.
Okay, Irene. My pleasure, dear.